What's going on YouTube? It's Matty B. Welcome back to the channel, and as always, thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Today we're going to do a little Hangtown preview presented to you by Sirius Studio and ASV Inventions. And we are going to go over some people that are on the injured reserve. We'll talk about who's in and who's out. And then there are some new names, some wild cards of sorts that are on the entry list for Hangtown this weekend. And it's going to be a hot one. The boys are going to be racing in a Dutch oven. I'll even give you a weather report. And then to finish it up, we'll do a track preview via MX Simulator. And then last, but certainly not least, we'll get into the fun stuff, my predictions and picks for what I think's going down at round 2 this weekend in NorCal. And I've got some experience racing this national only one time in 2023, but when I did, it was absolutely the worst national I've ever raced by far. But luckily for the riders, they did a complete overhaul on the track. They changed up the layout. They brought in some better soil. And after last year, I got a much better feeling about this racetrack. So let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, who's going to be out for this weekend? And we'll lead off with the big one who went out right away in 450 Moto 1 at Fox Raceway. Chase Sexton, no confirmation from him or the team, but rumors are circulating that he will be out until at least Redbud and maybe longer. And somebody very close to the situation has told me he's heard the same. So huge blow to the series. The sport's always better when the top guys are in it, and Chase was surely a title contender, and now that's out the window. Next up, Justin Barcia. While I was out west, I saw him back on the bike doing some testing and getting some laps in, and he was scheduled to possibly be returning at round 2 for Hangtown, but he is not on the entry list at the time of posting this, so maybe Bam Bam needs a little bit more practice revving till we hit the gate drops. Styles Robertson, this poor dude just cannot catch a break, well, except for all the bones in his wrist, but this wrist has kind of been the story of his last few years, and he has unfortunately injured it again at round 1, and reports are he may be out until High Point. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a little while longer until we see Max Anstey back on the gate, as his leg injury did not heal right. He had to get another surgery on it, I believe about a week ago, so Max is still on the mend, won't be seeing him anytime too soon. Then his teammate Daxton Bennick unfortunately has suffered a couple of concussions this year, and 2 of them were back-to-back in Supercross, so he's still taking some time off and making sure that dome's right before he returns back to action. But all I've seen is he said he was going to sit out at least the first few rounds, so maybe we'll see him back by round 4 or 5. Jalik Swoll, we have not seen this guy all year on the Triumph, blew out the Achilles in the winter before Supercross, but he's back on the bike, back training, and I've seen some people say we might see him back at Redbud, and I hope we do because all reports were that he was flying before his injury. His teammates will be in action without him this weekend. Mitchell Oldenburg. Freckle unfortunately suffered a broken pelvis at the final round of Supercross, and I think he was wanting to do a few outdoors to make sure he got his SMX points in to get seated straight in, but unfortunately for him, the outdoors do indeed require a pelvis. Kickstart Kenny, haven't heard much from him after he went out with injury during Supercross, but I listened to an interview with Larry Brooks on the PulpMX show, and he did kind of hint towards the fact that Kenny might want to jump in some outdoors just so he can get some gate drops in and be ready for SMX. Dylan Ferrandis, he's going to stay on the injured reserve for this whole outdoor season as he's out with a stress fracture in his leg. And I'm not really sure why that takes so long, but I'm not a doctor and I'm not a badass like Dylan Ferrandis, so I'm sure the time off is necessary. All has been quiet on the Cole Davies front for the last few weeks as well, but I'm sure he's just on the mend. I'm not really sure what updates we need, so I think no news is good news, and hopefully we see this guy in action before the outdoors are over, and especially as we head into SMX. Cameron balls out McAdoo. As far as I know, he's going to be out for the duration of Pro Motocross, recovering from the ACL surgery. If anyone's wondering where Shane McElrath is, I don't think it's due to injury. I think the dude is just finally taking some time off. He's been on 96 different teams. He's been racing World Supercross, anything he can find to make a buck, so I think he's just taking the summer off without choice. This was a weird one. Carson Mumford went out of a race during Supercross and then said he was fine, but then we never saw him again. But I see now he's back on the bike doing motos, and maybe we'll see him join Joey Savacci under the quad lock tent for Pro Motocross at some point. This poor dude's season was over right after it had just taken off to an awesome start. Pierce Brown, bad injury after a crash in the whoops, but I now see he's back on the bike. Not sure when a return is going to be scheduled, but just glad to see he's back on 2 wheels. Jet Reynolds is another one who's unfortunately fallen into this injury cycle, injury after injury. And Jet posted that he tried to get some time in on the bike before round 1, but his leg was just too painful. So hopefully we see him by maybe round 4 or 5, especially as we head east. Marshall Welton kind of silently stepped away with injury right after the Pulpamex Privateer Challenge, got his knee worked on, and I'm not sure when we'll see him back, but the dog days of summer have his name written all over him. And here's an update I'm pretty happy to bring you all. I spent several hours with Jerry Robin while he was recovering from his injury that shook the industry in East Rutherford as he became paralyzed from the waist down. But after spending some time with him, I can tell you he is in fantastic spirits. And for the situation he's in, I don't think he could be in any better of a headspace. He's had some small positive signs. He's gotten some tingling sensations in his legs, and he started to be able to activate his core and some other small wins like that. He's getting stem cell therapy treatment, and he's very thankful for all the monetary donations and everybody's support from the moto industry. And the dude's not out of the woods yet, not even close, but he's got a fantastic attitude and the proper work ethic for it, and I believe in the dude. Let's go, Jerry. Now, to continue building on a little bit more of a positive note, now we can talk about some riders that are going to be in this weekend, starting with Austin Forkner. Had an incident in Moto 1 at Paula, took a foot peg to the leg, had to get some stitches in between motos, but he was back in it, and he'll be on the gate at Hangtown. You already know RJ's in. Hell, he raced last weekend, but I just had to say it again because the dude got wrist surgery like 2 weeks ago and still grinds out a P6 in Moto 1. And rumor has it, if they red flag Hangtown and have to do a single file restart, RJ has another surgery scheduled for that downtime. Nate Thrasher, no confirmation on his status, but I'm just going to assume he's in. I mean, the dude broke his finger and had surgery on like a Monday or a Tuesday during Supercross, and he was still there at the race that weekend. So he's a grinder. I say he's there. There's been a lot of talk about Cooper Webb and a thumb injury that he suffered before Supercross and whether that would stop him from completing the entire outdoor season. But now I've heard in an interview, he says the thumb is good, it's all healed up and no surgery needed, so I think he'll be digging all summer long. Everything has been silent on this one, but I have heard that Drew Adams suffered either a hand or a finger injury at Fox Raceway as he was not at the charity golf tournament the following day, and that was the reason stated, but haven't seen anything since then, so I'm only assuming he'll be on the gate. This was a wild one. Both Joey Savacci and Josh Mosman both suffered hand and finger injuries after clipping the caution lights on the side of the track at Fox Raceway. But Joey raced the rest of the day, and Josh flew to Italy and rode the Ducati this week, so they both should be in. And now to get into a few riders that are new on the entry list or just have situations that I want to talk about. First up, Dante Oliveira. This guy is going to be one hell of a dark horse in the 450 class. He has insane speed. He's a multi-time off-road champion and more series than I could even name. And he's a local to Northern California. I'm sure he has plenty of laps at Hangtown. So don't be surprised if you see this guy throw himself into that top 15 or maybe even better. Benny Bloss is on the entry list for Beta for Hangtown. Not sure what other rounds his schedule is going to consist of, but I'm sure he wants those SMX points. He needs that check at the end of the season. And then joining him on the Beta will also be off-road works champion and contender in the NGPC series, Dare DeMartile, and he's also a NorCal guy, so I expect him to do well also. And then another NorCal guy, Bryson Gardner, the younger brother of team manager Carlin Gardner. So we should see several betas up in the mix in the motos in the 450 class. Another off-road guy, he raced last weekend and got 17th overall, but I feel like he still went under the radar. Mason Semmons, the Australian. He's a Pro 2 champion in NGPC, and I think he does really well this weekend, especially in the heat. And then we got a couple of amateurs joining the big dogs in the 250 class again, Cole Timbo and Enzo Timmerman. And there's an amateur combine going down on Friday, but these guys said, nah, I'm good. Throw me in with the Wolves, and I love the strategy. Just getting invaluable experience, and I actually think it's super cool that these amateurs can dip their toes in and race a few pro races, but let me know what you guys think. And then I wanted to correct myself and apologize for being fake news media. I thought the PRMX team was just racing round 1 and then headed to Canada, but apparently they are in for the full series. And then also the 800, not Michael Lessie, but Preston Masiangelo. He appears to be doing the same thing as round 1 for Canada is this weekend, and he's on the Hangtown entry list. But for now, that's all I got regarding who's in, who's out, and who's going to be new for this weekend for round 2 at Hangtown. But now we'll go ahead and get into our final part of the video, the track preview and predictions. And for most of the future rounds, I'll be able to use GoPro footage from my experience at these tracks. But at Hangtown, they did an overhaul last year and they completely changed the layout from all my footage. So I'm going to use MX Simulator, no choice. And the only problem is I'm playing on an old laptop and this was the best way I had to do this. I don't know how to get it to screen record or anything, so the quality is pretty bad. So if you want to turn this off, I don't blame you. But if you're into it, let's get it. And let's get started with a Bangtown MX Simulator POV. Gate is down and a short start straight into this little left-right chicane, sweeping left through turn 1, and then you start bending to the right through turn 2, and they kind of opened this up with the track changes last year and made it a lot faster. Little scrub double into this downhill, very rough section into this classic sweeper, and up the hill into what they call Big Mo, which is this turning tabletop at the top of the hill. Or you can jump it straight and commit assault on a track worker like Matty Jorgensen did last year. But if you stay on track, you land and you hit this Gnarls Barkley downhill. These downhills are known to get insane at Hangtown. Into a right-hander, a nice little jump out of this corner, and then up the hill into another classic trademark at Hangtown, the step up into the hairpin left-hander at the top of the hill. And then you make this left and this next downhill. I swear it gives these guys nightmares, especially everybody without factory suspension. And this is also where Jet tried to make his own jump last year and absolutely ended himself in Moto 1. I'll reenact it later, but out of the right-hander, and then we've got an odd section of rollers, all different sizes, just to throw the boys out of their contract, and then a double, triple up into the corner. Not sure if that's exactly how it's going to be on race day, but the simulator says it's so. Then back down another hill, little inside single or outside around it, and then a little pop double, bend to the left, another little sweeper over the little rise mid-corner, some more rollers, double them if you're a dog, roll them if you're tired, and then one more sweeper, a lot of ruts into this little roller, and then the biggest jump on the track. Used to be the Fly 150, now it's not that big, but a nice floater. Land that little 90-degree corner to the left, and then some more rollers, offset action, but ideally maybe you can double through and get a little rhythm in, and then a very steep step up at the end of that section. I swear that thing is like hitting a wall. And unfortunately, I would know, but then another 90 left at the top, ski jump back down, another hill, and this is where Deegan went full helicopter mode last year, into a few S-turns. They used to be a lot tighter, but with the track changes, they've been opened up a little bit, into one more left 180 into this tabletop. Used to be the finish line. Remember Grant Langston and Michael Lessie back in like 05, 06. I don't know, it was wild, but then we got some rollers through the last corner. I got squirrely, and then the finish line, a basic little double. Sweep back through turn 1, and that's a lap around a very poor quality recorded version of Hangtown in MX Simulator. And before I get into the predictions, I couldn't help myself. I had to do a couple of crash reenactments. First of all, Jet Lawrence trying to double down the hill. They changed the track. He may have seen it on the sight lap, but he tried it anyway and ended up absolutely weeding himself. And then, of course, Deegan heading to the danger zone. The dude lives there, but this time it caught up with him. And this one actually turned out pretty good. I think that's exactly what the crash looked like. And last thing, before the Prediction National, I wanted to touch on the weather because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a factor because it is going to be mental on Saturday. 99 degrees, and I know what a lot of you are probably thinking, oh, it's California, no humidity, it'll be fine. Yeah, guess again. When I raced Hangtown, I think it was 94 or 95 degrees, and it felt stupid hot. I think I still have cottonmouth right now, as it was just the driest of the dry heat, and with the track being on the side of that hill, I swear the heat just sits down in there, and it is miserable. It is the Armpit National. And now finally, my picks for the weekend, and as always, I want to hear what you guys think as well, so make sure you let me know in the comments. But starting with the 250 class, I got no choice but to pick Hayden Deegan for the win. I think it's his world, and these guys are just living in it, especially with the heat. I think late in the moto, even if he struggles early moto, I think he's going to wear these guys down, and barring any incident, I don't see any way he loses. Then in second, I've got Tom Vial. I think he'll be solid. I think he'll be right there. And he actually got a moto win at this track last year, but I don't know if he's going to be able to cut the mustard this year. And then in third, I'm going Chance Hyman. I think he'll be really fast. He showed tons of speed at Paula, but I think the main difference between him and Vial is going to be maybe a mistake, which we also saw at Paula, but I hope the dude proves me wrong. Then in the 450 class, I'm going out on a limb for this one. I'm going to pick Eli Tomac for the win. I think he's going to thrive in the hot temperatures with the man strength. I mean, they're both coming back from injury, so it's going to be tough for pretty much all the contenders. But Hangtown is a great track for Tomac. He won his pro debut here all the way back in 2010, and I think this is one of Jet's worst tracks. So if nothing happens here, I think we are in for a very long summer. Then in second, I'm going Jet Lawrence. I think he puts up a fight, but maybe wises up and realizes ET is going to go beast mode, settles for a second, and lives to fight another day. Then in third, I'm going AP. He was really good here last year, and I think he keeps it going this year. The dude loves the great outdoors. He's over the stadiums, and I think we see him on the podium a whole lot more than not this summer. But I can't wait for the gate to drop on Saturday. That's all I got for you guys for today's video. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. If you agree, disagree, if I'm cooked, if you want to hate, or anything in between. Let me know your picks and let me know what you thought about the style of the video. Like I said, we're not going to do this super janky, horrid quality MX Simulator preview for every round. I have GoPro footage for almost every other track, so it'll get better. We'll get there when it's time, but I appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging in there with me, even when I'm at the janky national, and I'll catch you guys next time. No choice.